time to meet God. You like my Benicio? Not bad, huh? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Adam Pecora, and you have tuned in to Requiem for a Tuesday. How the hell are you? If there are any audio issues with this episode, is because I just knocked my microphone over. And it's at the exact height to where it was able to do a half rotation and land exactly on its top. So the entire cast iron stand weight bared directly down upon it. Everything seems to be fine. I did a couple checks, but just know that that's how my day's going. So you can rate, review, and subscribe to Requiem for a Tuesday on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. We put them up on YouTube also. We only have one video episode, so you can watch that one, and the other ones, you can still use YouTube if you want. We got music, Wolf X for some instrumental jams. That's my solo stuff. And then we got a multiplex with the boy, Chef Juice, who could not make it today, but there's many, many episodes of him. I would say he's got to have been on this, 30 times at the very least? Although that may be high. I don't know. Somebody run the numbers. Get back to us. Merch for the show, rfat.bigcartel.com. You can follow me on IG, adam.rfat. And I think that's it. rfatpodcast@gmail.com for any inquiries or whatever. Don't know why you would ever email a podcast, but people do it. I actually have gotten a couple, to be fair, but the big ones, people love emailing those people. It's a little odd to me, but whatever. We are back on the Denis hype train this week, and we will be next week as well. I can tell you that right now. Sicario. What a film. This guy is fucking incredible at directing movies. I really am going to have to rewatch Arrival, because how could he make... I literally am so into all of his movies. I've now seen them all that are in English. Come on. Give me a break, everybody. And how is it possible that I love all of them except one, and I disliked that movie? There has to be some mistake on my part. How do you love and dislike one? It seems unlikely. Although, I guess it's not unbelievable. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But let's take David Lynch, for example. That's the one that came to mind, because I was like, oh, well, I don't like Dune. Yeah, but I don't dislike David Lynch's Dune. I just don't like it. I'm probably not going to watch it. But my mentality for Arrival is I refuse. You know what I mean? That's the thought process. If this were on, I'd be like, this movie sucks to whoever's watching it. And I would not do that with Lynch's Dune. I mean, I'd be like, well, here's a bunch of reasons why this was doomed. And yeah, it's not very good. But here are some redeeming qualities. Not that I didn't think Arrival had any redeeming qualities at all. Not the point. I think you get what I'm trying to say. The bong rip at the intro of the episode was real. That was not special effects. So my brain's kind of catching up with my mouth, or vice versa. I don't really, maybe you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore. I mean, this guy's just the best. He's just the best. The run, just the absolute run of just heaters is unbelievable. But we're talking Sicario today. We'll get to the other one. So, I mean, let me run through. I'm just going to run through the credits before we even talk plot. Just stacked top to bottom in every way. I mean, arguable for writer, but here we go. Directed by Denis. I mean, truly the director of the century so far. Only counting by people. Oh, his career didn't start this century. 98. I thought his first movie was 2000. Well, that ruins my point of what I was trying to say. Someone whose career had started the century. Never mind then. But either way, hands down, like the director of the 2010s. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make that statement and commit to it without thinking it through. It doesn't matter. You get the point. A bold, generational talent right in front of our very eyes, who is rounding into prime form still. The guy makes fucking bangers. He knows what the fuck he's doing. So, love you, Denis. You heard me slurp him up for Dune. Well, I'm here to cradle the balls and let him come in my mouth this week. Okay? And next week, I'm going to turn around, pull him down, and spread the cheeks. Because Denis gets what Denis wants. And he deserves it all. And I'm going to give it to him. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, written by Taylor Sheridan, who you may know as the Yellowstone Empire guy, who now has like 11 shows at one time. And I believe because basically needs to continue the output of his shows because he paid like $200 million for a ranch or something. And I don't know what part of Taylor Sheridan is like, I'm actually this guy, or I just really like writing this stuff, so I've cultivated myself into a cowboy. The guy's interesting. So anyway, starring Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, little Bernthal in there, little Daniel Kaluuya action. What else we got on here? That's the bulk of the big names, but you get the point. What a list of cast members. Phenomenal actors top to bottom. And then you add the greatest cinematographer in the history of motion pictures, a one Roger Deakins, who shoots the fuck out of this movie. Oh my God. And then, rest in peace, Johan Johansson with the score. It was such a good score. So, cocaine and flu medication. That's how Johan Johansson died. I don't know why he thought he committed suicide. Interesting. 2015 movie. $30 million budget. $30 million budget. This movie looks like a $150 million movie. Unbelievable. Box office only $85 million. I feel like that is a fault of marketing for this one. If they had just pushed this as a blockbuster, it easily would have been. Like, I don't even really see... That just seems like a huge error to me. And to be honest, at the time, I have no memory of this coming out. I certainly remember the Oscars the next February or whatever and being like, what is Sicario? And I think I assumed it was in Spanish. You guys remember this past Oscar season when I thought Past Lives was in Korean because it starred Korean people? That was a big L. All right. Anyway, yeah, I was not informed of this movie at the time. The Ringer brings this movie up quite a bit. Kind of nudged me into wanting to see it more. And, you know, as I lick Denise Scrum, I got to see them all. You know what I mean? Big nominees for this movie. We got cinematography. Of course, it's Roger. Best original score, Johan. Of course. And sound editing. Yeah, I mean, I could see no acting performance. I thought this had original screenplay. Am I wrong about that? Hold on. Let's dive deeper into this. What are we talking about here? No, it did not. That's interesting. Well, that's kind of bogus. Taylor Sheridan, that's a pretty good goddamn job on that one. Okay, yeah, no. Was way off on that. Yeah, no Best Director nomination. Also pretty absurd, considering Room was nominated Best Director. Spotlight Best Director over this movie. I don't know about that. No Best Picture nominee. No actress. No nothing. Original screenplay, I don't know how it doesn't make original screenplay. And I still don't understand how Spotlight and Straight Outta Compton could be original screenplays either. Whatever. That's fine. They can make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Let's see. And then we get to original score. Ennio Morricone for Hateful Eight. I get it. Okay, see, sometimes you just got to look at what was in the category before you just go, how could it have not won? Sound editing, Mad Max Fury Road. Can't argue with that. It's like a historically well executed production. And then we go down to the last one. Cinematography, The Revenant. I was blown away when I saw The Revenant. Also, just unbelievably beautiful cinematography. So, you know what? It's all fair. It's all fair that it didn't win. Now, we could have used some more nominations. This was nominated for the Palme d'Or. Who beat it that year? The Palme d'Or is always kind of bullshit. I'm basically just like, if a movie if I've heard of the movie and it didn't win, I'm upset, is typically my response. So let's see here. Oh, big fucking surprise here. A French movie won that year. And I don't care. I'm not going to read about it. Dumb. France. What a joke. Anyway, and speaking of The Ringer being a fan of this movie, literally in the Wikipedia section of reception for Sicario, they have Chris Ryan quoted, very entertaining Ringer personality. Compared the films of the 1979 film Apocalypse Now, noting an analogy between the former's themes with respect to the Mexican drug war and the latter's with respect to Vietnam War. He also stated that is kind of true. They're just kind of floating through it. They don't really know what's going on. He also stated that the characters Alejandro Gillick and Matt Graver in Sicario resemble those blah, blah, blah in Apocalypse Now. Got it. Firmly agree, actually, upon reading that. See, what a great take. The guy's got good takes. Where do we begin with this? 15 minutes in, apparently. That's where we begin. Everybody in this movie is fucking awesome. So anyway, opens right away to an FBI raid of a house in Arizona. They're doing the intense thing. They batter in the wall. They roll deep. They check every room. Whatever. They know who they're looking for. The guy's not coming out. So there's nice tense moment of like they open this door, nobody, this door, nobody, this door, nobody. Then all of a sudden they open the door, guy's just standing there. Boom, shots fired, return fire, easy, kill him. You're basically fighting the army, dude. Like you're not gonna win this. But when you're in that deep, I guess you just gotta try. There's not really anything else you can do at that point in time. So then they start looking through everything, and you think, like, oh, there's going to be a bunch of drugs or a bunch of money stashed away somewhere in the house, and then they find, like, a dead spot in the wall, which I would never be able to do. Maybe it is very obvious when you actually discover one, but to me, it just feels like I'd be like, oh, there's no stud there. You know what I mean? Anyway. There's a bunch of fucking corpses in the walls. Absolutely grotesque. And I'm locked in already. We're like 3 minutes into the movie. I'm like, this is going to be a fucking ride. Like, what a banger way to just go right into it. And then they're searching like more of the property. There's like a shed or something outside. And some type of rig that blows up. And they fucking just like explode the FBI. And now you're even more locked in at this point. It's like, holy fucking shit. Like, where's this gonna go? And then they don't even really kind of explain what happened there. That's really it. They kind of just take, not that there's a lot to explain, obviously, but they're after a cartel guy who's in the U.S. There isn't really any backstory that you kind of need there. And they basically go straight from that into a like huge mission with like every form of big government agent that you can have. And they go to Mexico and they try to get like his cousin or his brother or something. Whatever, another cartel guy. So they're trying to get them in there. And this is when we get into like the next fucking super awesome big set piece thing of this. So as they're going through Mexico, they see a bunch of crazy shit. There's like bodies hanging from the highway and all this crazy ass shit. Or that might even be later. Doesn't matter. Anyway, they're trying to get the brother, and as they're going back through, they have to get like escorted up to the border. And then here, my big nitpick with the movie also comes at this point, though. So whatever, we'll get there. There's like a huge line at the border. Obviously, I assume there would be at most points of the day if there's a lot of cars coming through. Anyway, they like vacate one lane of like the toll to enter, and they join this like escort all the way to the border, and then they go right through the border. But then somehow they're stuck in traffic again on the other side. It's like if you're able to clear out the Mexican side, I feel like it would be easier to clear out the U.S. side. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. But if you're able to clear out a lane right there, why can't you clear out a lane right after? It just seems like it would be the same amount of effort. You could literally force people to pull into the shoulder, although I think there literally isn't one right there because there's just a bunch of walls. Obviously, they don't want you to stop. Doesn't matter. There'd be a way to do that. And then at the end of this scene, I know I'm jumping ahead, but then they just drive away right after. It's like, oh, all of a sudden the traffic just went away? How's that possible? What, everybody just sped off? It's like, no, they were bumper to bumper, gridlocked. It doesn't make sense. But what happens in between is fucking awesome, and they see as they pull through, they're officially in the U.S. now, but they're like, well, we're clearly not safe parked right here in this zone. And they just kind of look around and they start eyeing like cartel looking dudes, and they guess them, they spot them right away. It's not a guess. They're right. And these dudes are just cars full of cartel guys with guns trying to take these people out. It does not work, as they are tactical, again, like soldiers, and they cap every one of them. However, Emily Blunt is not down with it because they're opening fire in the middle of a fucking parked highway just at pedestrians and shit. And then a fucking federale comes up behind her, points a gun to her head. She reacts, caps him. So she's the only one who is in the FBI. Everyone she is with is a CIA agent. And that would be, she's pulled into this whole mission. I'm leaving out all the details. Again, I'm stoned, whatever. She's pulled into all this by Josh Brolin, who's in the CIA, as well as Benicio del Toro, who's like an ex-Mexican lawyer type thing, is really what it is, but he's like some crazy assassin for the CIA now. And then Daniel Kaluuya is like Emily Blunt's FBI partner, but he's not really involved because he's not in this mission. He gets brought in later at her request. But she's basically like, yo, what the fuck was that? And he's like, what? Like, welcome to the CIA. Like, we kill people in broad daylight all the time. Like, this is what happens. Like, chill. Like, you haven't seen anything. But she's like very disturbed by what happens. And he is basically like, we're here to stir shit up. So that way the big guys like come out to play and then we can nab them. And she's like, okay. And then they eventually raid like his bank or whatever. And the FBI people are like, great, now we can start a legal case because we have money. And the CIA guys are like, yeah, you guys go do that. Like, that's adorable. Go try that. Meanwhile, they go out for like a nightcap. And that's where Johnny Bernthal comes in. And I guess he's a friend of Daniel Kaluuya's who works for like state police in Arizona. Or maybe even just local police. I don't even know. Anyway, he turns on the charm. Instantly, she's like, let's bang one out. And it's like, you're in the middle of this crazy-ass cartel case. The fact that you would trust anyone that you don't already know is absurd. Like, especially right after you're claiming to be, like, super traumatized from what just happened. It's like you're already trying to bang one out. It's like you'd think the puss would be shut after the trauma. But, hey, people process things differently. What can I, who am I to judge? Anyway, he's like within seconds of killing her. But Benicio shows up and saves the day. Which is also kind of like, what? He's just like at her house? I mean, I assume he was literally watching, like tailing her because they probably don't trust her. But still, little like, that's pretty convenient that he would just be at her house. I feel like that's the Taylor Sheridan in the story. You know what I mean? The traffic thing and this thing. It's like, yeah, here's the big idea. Don't worry about it. It's going to look good. Don't think about it. Then that's when they're like, what? We're going back. We're going right back into Mexico. Because like people are retreating through some tunnels or something. And yeah, they basically failed at whatever they were trying to do. I don't know. And then, sorry. And then the big reveal is that like, oh, you're a dumb bitch. We're the CIA. Like whatever mission we've been telling you we're doing. Like the first mission, they told them one thing, and then the thing on the highway happened, and they're like, yeah, but here's the real mission. Overall, it's bigger than what we said. And now this time, and then I think it happens one other time after the bang. I don't even know. But then this time he's like, okay, but here's like the real mission. Which they still don't even reveal all of it, I feel like. But He's basically just like, you're just here because we're doing shit in America and we're the CIA. So if this isn't a joint mission with the FBI, like, I'll go to prison for being, like, wrong about that. Like, you know what I mean? This is, like, a legal obligation that you need to be on this mission, and we basically picked you because you're too green to handle it. Oh, that's right. And then they just, like, don't reveal what the point is. Anyway, they then go through all the tunnels and stuff, and she goes like a different way than everybody else, and she finds Alejandro, who is Benicio del Toro. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm using character names. I have not been the whole time. It's basically revealed that he's doing some deal with a drug guy who they also cut to him in little increments throughout the movie, who's just like a regular, like, local Mexican police officer kind of going through day to day with his kid and stuff. But yeah, he's like technically a corrupt officer who works for the cartel. And then this is when it gets extra intense, okay? She pulls her gun out and she's like, I'm going to arrest you. Like, you are committing a crime. It's like, lady, how are you not aware that this is like part of what he's doing? Anyway, he just caps her right in the stomach and he's like, don't fucking point a gun at me. Like, are you crazy? And then he then like drives the other dude at gunpoint, the cop, in the car. Or he was already holding him at gunpoint, right? They weren't like working together. But anyway, he has him drive him and pull over like the cartel guy's like kid or something. Very intense scene. There's like a standoff for a little bit. Anyway, he caps everybody, has him take him to the cartel guy's house that they're looking for, caps everybody. Like, security doesn't do anything. Holds his entire family at gunpoint at dinner. Time to meet God. And he's basically like, don't do it in front of my kids. Whatever. The usual back and forth. Tough guy feeling each other out. And then Benicio's like, you don't fucking understand. Like, he kind of tries to be like you're not going to get away with this or whatever. He's like, you don't fucking understand me, dude. Like, this is happening right now. Kills the wife, both kids, has the dude just sit there in shock. A little ridiculous, his shock face. It was a comedic shock face, not a dramatic shock face. And then just sits there, has the dude sit with it for a minute, really look around and deal with it and like understand it, then caps him too. Real cold motherfucker shit. And then Josh Brolin to Emily Blunt is like, yeah, we're not doing what I just told you we were doing. Like, how do you keep falling for this? You just listen to me tell you the mission, you don't ask any questions, and you just accept it? Okay, great. That is why I picked you for this. He's like, yeah, the real mission is we're trying to take out the fucking cartel altogether. We're trying to bring back the Colombian cartel. And she's like, what the fuck is that? That sounds fucking crazy. And it's like, yeah, we're the CIA. Like, we're not law enforcement. You know what I mean? You're law enforcement. We're trying to, like, benefit the government, like, 15 years from now. Like, we're doing levels upon levels upon levels. Like, this is how this works. And then fucking incredible stuff. And then Benicio shows up at Emily Blunt's house and basically holds a gun to her head, and he's like, sign the paper that says everything we did was super legal and clean. And she's like, okay. Like, I don't really have a choice here. And then she points her gun at him as he walks away in the parking lot and is just a pussy. Like, can't do it. And I knew she wasn't going to do it. And he just looks back and is like, yeah, you're not going to do it. And then he gets in his car and drives away. And then they cut back to the police officer who he killed. they were cutting to him and his son, I had mentioned. Now it is just his wife and son, and he's playing soccer, and there's just more machine guns because it'll just never end. It's basically like this shit just happens every day. Like this is a day, like this is a normal thing for like Mexicans and the CIA, but not normal for the FBI. A+ movie. I fucking love it. That, again, my only little nitpick with the movie is that part where they're just like, we have cleared all traffic, and then they cross the border, and it's like, oh wait, except for this traffic that's still here. Locked in from the first minute, and never breaks from there. Just intense. It happens very fast, too. I mean, this movie's like a clean 2 hours. So, like, I mean, it's right out of the gate, and then it just flies through with just nonstop shit. There's the opening, the highway. Then the shit with Bernthal. Then that goes right into the tunnel finale, cartel. Like, it's just an intense cartel thrill ride. Taylor Sheridan also wrote the sequel, and Benicio came back for the sequel. Honestly, I'd known that there was one, and I thought that the sequel went straight to DVD, and it did not. It came out and made the same amount of money as the first one, and it somehow had a bigger budget. You know, they just didn't have Denis do it. But Brolin was back too. I mean, I need to watch it, is what I'm saying. I'm talking myself into needing to watch it. Also exactly 2 hours. And they got Hilder to do the score for this one, who is now the biggest score in the world. I mean, she's nominated every time, you know. It's Hilder and Ludwig. Boy, those Europeans just keeping scores alive single-handedly. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to watch Sicario, Day of the Soldado, and get back to you guys with that one. And there's a third one, I believe, that they're making, but I don't know if that one is quite as high level or not, but it may be. It may be. So we'll keep an eye out, or you should keep an eye out for Sicario 2 episode coming soon. What an absolute banger masterpiece. And Roger Deakins, I mean, the shots in this are just breathtaking front to back. My favorite is this scene that's in like thermal, or it's just because of like water dripping or something, but it's all in blue, and then as people run through, they kind of like warp with the light and they turn like purple and shit. Just amazing stuff. It's not an effect. It is just spectacular. But yeah, the cinematography, A1. This is a masterpiece. Truly. My favorite Denis is still going to be Blade Runner for now. I think as I watch more of them. He's now on the list. It's official, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he's on the Tarantino, PTA, Lynch list. Fincher. Like, it's those guys and Denis Villeneuve for just god tier guys. I don't think I left anyone out there, but maybe I did. But you know what I'm saying when I'm saying that. That's big words from your boy. Yeah, great shit. Fucking love it. Next week, we will be back with more Denis. We're going to do Enemy and Prisoners, a double 2013 banger, which, like, how did he manage to do that? I don't understand that at all. But this week, as you may have seen from the title, we're doing a little Benicio back to back, because Benicio del Toro was probably the strongest performance in Sicario. I mean, Emily Blunt was great too. Brolin is kind of just being like the fun arms dealer guy. I mean, he's not an arms dealer; he works for the CIA. But he's like the oddball, quirky guy who cracks jokes and is like fun, even though people are being tortured. He's just like smiling. He's one of those laid-back guys. So it's a fun performance, but I think Benicio, he's just doing a lot without really saying that much. Anyway, I want to talk about the movie Basquiat. This is a biographical film about Jean-Michel Basquiat, my favorite painter. Not very original, I know. I'm not claiming it to be. I don't typically like paintings. I don't get it. I'll be honest. Just saying. Anyway, but he's great and a very interesting guy. And this movie was directed by a famous painter who I've never heard of, Julian Schnabel. Maybe very famous. I don't know. He also made movies. Like multiple. It wasn't just the one. He made a few. And I don't know what they are. Anyway, this movie has music by John Cale and one of the more stacked cast listings you will ever hear. And a lot of these guys are like either before they were famous or just like they were famous as in they were in movies. But my guess is kind of just like, okay, they got a bunch of New York actors that have, whether they've been, veterans who have been around, whether it be in theater or in like the indie movie circuit. And they're like, this is about this guy, and everybody's like, we love this guy, so we want to be in this movie. I don't know, but listen to the talented list of people in this fucking movie. It's really remarkable. Jeffrey Wright stars as Basquiat. Very young, and he's great. David Bowie is Andy Warhol, who's really kind of doing like a caricature, to be honest. Not his best. Benicio del Toro is like a composite character who plays like an early friend of Basquiat before he blows up. Dennis Hopper plays Bruno Bischofberger, who was like Warhol's guy, I guess. I don't know. Gary Oldman plays like a composite, almost like mentor painter guy. Let's see. Who else we got? Parker Posey as some like art curator lady. Courtney Love as like a love interest. Both love interests were, what's it called? Composites. There's not like Madonna is not a character in the movie. Sadly. What else we got? I'm not done here. Tatum O'Neal, which I know is a name. She like won an Oscar when she was 5 years old or something. Christopher Walken appears in the movie. He interviews Basquiat. Willem Dafoe in the movie as like a guy who is like he's like a carpenter or something at like a gallery. Sam Rockwell plays like a street tough. And I think that's about it. And then even still, there's more like recognizable character actors on top of it. But the movie's pretty straightforward. It's basically like he lives in the park, he lives in a box, and he's handing out all these little drawings, and he's like playing in bands and stuff. And one day he kind of just does whatever he wants, kind of, is a unique, go with the flow, do your own thing kind of guy, floating around. And grows apart from his girlfriend as he gets more famous because he runs into Andy Warhol. Warhol takes a liking to his stuff. Bada bing, bada boom. Next thing you know, you're making all this money. And they kind of show him as just like a casual drug user in the beginning. And then he just kind of gets rich and does a bunch of heroin. He was doing a lot of cocaine with Benicio del Toro in the movie. But I don't get that. I don't get how it's like, I'm on cocaine, let me do some heroin. You know, I know that like the extreme thing idea is like, oh, you go up so you come down. But that just seems like, isn't that like two different types of addictions? Like you're just like gonna die if you're doing stuff like that. Anyway, it had just popped up on Max, so I thought I would give it a shot, and I did not know that the cast list was that deep. I kind of just saw, oh, Jeffrey Wright, that's great. Benicio, David Bowie. I was like, I'm in. Let's give it a shot. It's a good little art film, actually shot in New York. I don't know how ultimately accurate the whole thing is. I mean, I'm sure there's a million little details left out. They don't really go into his childhood at all. They vaguely touch on the relationship with his parents. And there's some really good montages of him working on stuff. The movie is not trying to give you an opinion on him. It just kind of seems like his peers tried to show you as what he was like as accurately as they could, because it's not making him out to be a monster or an asshole or a junkie. It's making him out to be an incredible artist, like for sure, and like a spaced out, like unique mind that would be difficult to get along with. Long term probably, but he has a ton of great short term interactions, and then he just kind of goes sour with everybody over time because everybody's trying to milk off of him, and he's also trying to use people to gain and stuff. Just kind of didn't get. I don't know. It's just interesting. For somebody to blow up as quickly as he did too. It just kind of shows him get isolated from everybody. He loses all of his real friends because he pushes them away, and then everybody else is just after him for money, so there's no reason for him to engage. Very interesting, and of course very sad that we lost such a talent who had his whole life ahead of him. 27. Basquiat. And I love his work. Seeing it in person especially, there's some gigantic pieces that if you just look at the image online, you wouldn't really imagine the scale of it, and they're just great stuff. So check that movie out on Max. Little Benicio double feature. Love Benicio. What a talent. What a dreamboat, too, as a young man. Anyway. I think we're going to have the official Denis ranking at the end of the Enemy Prisoners episode. Or maybe I'll save that for the next week and rewatch Arrival. We'll see. Lots of things in the works. Oh, you know what? NFL Draft episode is next week, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that would be the week after. I'm a mess. Don't worry about it. There will be an episode next week, and it'll be about something. One of the many things that I just listed will probably be on it. That I can put in stone. So, look forward to that. Rate, review, and subscribe to Requiem for a Tuesday. I got a burp coming. Leaving it in. That's artistic integrity, ladies and gentlemen. I don't cut down on my stuff. Rate, review, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at m.rfat. Check out all the links in the description below. We got lots of good stuff for you to check out. Free entertainment for everybody. Total entertainment forever. Denis is a god. What more can you say? Do I know how to do an ad or do I not? It's hard to say. Because I just get into that speech pattern every time, and I feel like it's like, this is supposed to like build to something, and then it just doesn't. All right, back next week with some Denis. The week after will be the NFL Draft episode, because obviously it will not take place this week. I just sorted that out pretty clearly. Remember, I are fat, you are fat, we RFAT. Calculator.